Jonathan Biss played music from Beethoven's Pathetique piano sonata.
Coming up, we have James Galway and the Chieftains teaming up and some Chopin for you. Andy is going to have the 7 o'clock news, but right now, let's check those roads. What's the situation, Sarah?
We'll start with a little bit of good news. The troubles northbound Bathurst at Lakeshore mostly gone. All of Bathurst is now open. We still have, though, a lane closed eastbound Lakeshore at Bathurst. Looks like it's the right lane. They're just trying to get things cleaned up. And TTC no longer struggling with some delays through the area. We also have new troubles eastbound 401 in the Express Collector split past Kipling. There is a collision there on the collector lanes, and it's causing some heavy delays back to before the 427. The southbound 410 out of Brampton is busy from Beauvert all the way down towards 401, but it is trouble-free. The Scotiabank Momentum Savings Account makes saving easier by paying you twice. First with regular interest, then with extra interest just for keeping your money saved. Open an account today. I'm Sarah Connings with traffic on the New Classical FM. Andy?
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning. It is now 7 o'clock with scattered showers in the forecast and the risk of a thunderstorm this afternoon and this evening. Right now it's 19 Celsius, 65 Fahrenheit, heading for a high today of 26. In the news, no matter the outcome of the Raptors Eastern Conference final against the Cavaliers, Toronto's mayor says the city will honor our NBA team. The Raptors were clobbered by the Cavs in Game 6 last night and Game 5 last night in Cleveland. Final score 116-78. John Tory told CP24 last night some sort of public celebration will be organized regardless of how far the Raps go.
We hope the parade you're talking about will be a parade celebrating a big win, the biggest win of all. And there'll be a parade for sure they'd show up to, but otherwise they go home because the season's over and it's hard to sort of muster up the team to have a parade. But we will do something, I assure you, to celebrate their success regardless of where it goes from here, because these guys have put on a fantastic performance this year.
And this is the first time in the history of the Raptors franchise they've made it beyond the first round of the playoffs. Game 6 back in Toronto tomorrow night. We'll have more on last night's game coming up on sports. Mississauga councillors have voted to lift the ban that was placed on Uber X 2 weeks ago. That's when councillors asked Uber to cease operations in Mississauga until a committee could be formed to see if Uber and the traditional taxi industry can coexist. Well, instead, now, Mayor Bonnie Crombie says councillors have decided to move up the start of the committee. They'll develop a pilot project aimed at finding a solution.
We wanted the pilot project to go forward, and we wanted all parties at the table. So let's bring all parties to the table. What can we do to facilitate that? The cease and desist portion of it was deemed to be redundant because they're not permitted to operate currently under the current bylaw, and we are enforcing our current bylaws. So if there are operations that are continuing, we will continue to enforce them until we get the pilot project going, and we hope to do that before the end of June.
Mayor Crombie says the status quo simply isn't working and changes are now necessary. For a writer who's been dead for 400 years, his work is still selling pretty well. A rare first edition of William Shakespeare's works from 1623 sold for $2.75 million at a Christie's auction last night. A private U.S. collector bought the book and 3 subsequent Shakespeare collected works for a total of more than $4 million. The rare first edition, known as a First Folio, was published just 7 years after Shakespeare's death. Some 750 copies are believed to have been printed, but only about 200 are known to exist still. The anthology contains 36 plays, including 18 that were published for the first time, such as Macbeth and Julius Caesar, and would probably have been lost without that First Folio.